My head hurts so badly. Throbbing pain inundated Zhou Mingrui. Why would I suddenly have such an excruciating headache in the middle of the night? And it's really painful. Could it be something like a cerebral hemorrhage? FK, don't tell me I'm going to die young. I need to wake up. After a while, his pain subsides a little, allowing him to slowly accumulate immaterial strength until he was finally able to move his back and open his eye. Does it still feel like a blunt knife is slicing through my brains? From the looks of it, sleep is impossible. How am I to show up for work tomorrow? Why am I still thinking about work? This is some authentic headache. Of course I have to take time off. I don't have to worry about my manager's grumblings. Subconsciously, he looked up and shifted his gaze up bit by bit. In midair, a crimson moon hung high above the backdrop of a black velvet curtain, glowing in silence. Zhou Mingrui felt inexplicably horrified. As he stood up abruptly, he turned around in a fluster as he began to size up the environment he was in. The room was not very large, with a brown door on each side of the room. Close to an opposite wall was a low wooden bed. With a sweep of his gaze, Zhou Mingrui noticed himself in the mirror, the present him. Black hair, brown pupils, a linen shirt, thinly built, average-looking features, and a rather deep outline. Zhou Mingrui immediately drew a gasp as many helpless and confused guesses surfaced in his mind. Could I have transmigrated? Zhou Mingrui widened his mouth slightly. He had grown up reading web novels and had often fantasized over such scenes. However, he momentarily found it hard to accept the situation when he found himself in one. This was probably what it meant to love a fantasy one. In a minute, Zhou Mingrui had already cursed himself while trying to make the best out of his adverse situation. If not for the still throbbing headache that made his thoughts high-strung but clear, he would have definitely suspected that he was dreaming. Calm down, calm down, calm down. After taking a few deep breaths, Zhou Mingrui worked hard to stop panicking. At that moment, as his mind and body calmed down, memories began flooding him as they slowly appeared in his mind. Klein Moretti, a citizen of the northern continent's Loan Kingdom, Awa County city of Tingen. He is also a recent graduate from the Department of History at Koi University. His father was a sergeant of the Royal Army who had sacrificed himself during a colonial conflict with the southern continent. The bereavement allowance gave Klein the opportunity to study at a private language school and laid the foundation for his admission into university. His mother was a devotee of the Evernight goddess. She passed away the year Klein passed the entrance examinations to Koi University. He also had an elder brother and a younger sister. They stayed in a two-bedroom apartment together. As a history graduate, Klein grasped knowledge of the ancient Fasak language, deemed the origin of all languages in the northern continent, as well as the Hermes language which often appeared in ancient mausoleums, as well as text regarding sacrificial and praying rituals. Hermes language. Zhou Mingrui's mind stirred as he reached out to rub his throbbing temples. He cast his gaze toward the table at the open notebook. He noticed that the text on the yellowed paper turned from strange to alien, before turning from alien to something familiar. It then turned into something readable. It was text written in Hermes language. The dark ink wrote the following: "Everyone will die, including me." Zhou Mingrui felt inexplicably horrified. While in deep thought, he suddenly discovered a red handprint to the side of the table. It was a bloody handprint. A bloody handprint? Zhou Mingrui subconsciously flipped his right hand that had been holding the edge of the table. Looking down, he saw that his palm and fingers were covered in blood. At the same time, the throbbing pain in his head continued. Although it had weakened a little, it continued incessantly. Did I smash my head open? Zhou Mingrui guessed as he turned around and walked towards a cracked dressing mirror. He continued forward until he was just a step short from colliding with the mirror. Using the crimson veil-like moonlight as illumination, he turned his head and examined the corner of his forehead. A clear reflection appeared in the mirror. His temple had a grotesque wound with burn marks along its periphery. Blood stained the wound's surroundings, and there were grayish-white brain juices squirming slowly within.